Yeah, and it's also interesting. You bring in mimetic desires and whatnot. Um, there is a portion of us that wants to be like others, wants to fit in, but then there's also the case that society has pre-programmed us in a large part, like what you're talking about here, to be like each other, to follow one another. It's like which came first, the chicken or the egg, the mimetic desire or societal pressures? And so you have this kind of weird integration where we live in a college town where on one hand the clothing today that people wear is to a large degree like the designers of that clothing, the designers know what we want, what exactly how we would want it. We know exactly what kind of brain things will start firing up because you overemphasize a certain trait or another trait, and so they will create that, but you will see 10 people walking together wearing the exact same kind of clothing, and it's not even a game day, it's just another day. And so it's like, okay, to one degree we know what we like, and so we're creating that for ourselves, but on the other hand, at the same time, we want to be like others. So like there's a certain portion to where it's like it's healthy to fit in with a group, it is healthy to be a part of a community, but it's also not healthy when you don't think for yourself, when you don't have individualism, because everything's, as you put it, I like that term, predigested. It's already chewed down to the fundamentals, and that's what we have. And so it's also terrifying to think about how we apply that to, say, reading the Bible, because the Bible, we come at the Bible in this almost pre-digested way. We think that it's already set forth how it is, but it's set forth how it is by those who taught us. Those who taught us were taught by similar ones to them, if that makes sense. And so it's the blind leading the blind into reading this community letter from 2,000 years ago or more that played into the individualistic. It was not digested for you. It was not pre-processed. It was not. It was a beautiful mosaic of literature that now you have the opportunity to dive into. But if you're expecting it to be like every other piece of music today, or every other blog today, which we do expect it to be like that, then we're not going to get very far with it, and we're going to create a whole different religion that's not actually there.
Yeah. So this idea of being a part of the group versus being an actual individual and maintaining some sort of clarity, some sort of distinct border, but also letting it be permeable is an interesting thing, because I would go to church on Sundays at a Southern Baptist church, and I'm so thankful for that heritage and for many of the people that I knew there. We had, a choir loft, a baptismal pool, and we were in the red brick building that was a sanctuary that was historic to the actual congregation itself, a landmark. This is a place where we met.
Yeah, for even the town.
Yeah, it's for where we met. The wooden pews, the stained glass windows, all of these structure things. And in my naivety, I had thought, well, this is how church happened from the very beginning. People would get together in this large assembly, and one person would be speaking, and we'd have musical instruments, and there would be art around. Not always the case, and obviously the beginnings of Christianity was much more home-based, which is one of the big reasons why it flourished so much in the early centuries. I'm saying that is because in my short-sightedness and in my youth, this was how Christianity was, and so there is a usefulness to appreciating something in its inherent singular individual merit But then at some point along the line, you have to be able to have a broader lens to zoom out and see, no, wait a minute, what I'm experiencing right now is actually part of a larger context. And in doing that, you are able to see new things and have new perspectives and new insights. And what you realize is just what you said, the Christian faith itself is something that has been packaged, opened up, examined, played with, repackaged, transferred, opened up, played with, examined, and this has happened for centuries and centuries and centuries. So there's a lot of things about Christianity today that were not original to the original church, and I think in our own time, in our own generation, we're asking the questions like, what is the authentic? What is the stuff that's not been pre-digested that is appropriate for us today? How do I best apply my attention and my awareness to have a fulfilling and happy life and that is relatively stress-free? And so it's an interesting dilemma in the complexity of what's happening, especially in society right now in the last month.
Yeah.
We have a lot of pre-digested ideas that are spewing out on both sides of the political spectrum. We have a situation where it is so easy to take sides because each side seems so right.
It's even that mimetic pressure to take a side.
Yeah.
Like everybody's taking a side, so if you don't, you're going to find yourself not just on the wrong side of history, but irrelevant to history.
Yeah. So our vision becomes myopic, or we have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Where we've got blinders on both sides, and it's just my side, as opposed to, wait a minute, there's actually another perspective here that needs to be understood, incorporated, examined, integrated, and brought into the conversation. It's interesting on the right side of the issue as well, politically speaking, as well as on the left. You have this intense feeling of righteousness. You are defending and standing up for justice as you define it on that side.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how radically we define justice differently?
And we are so entrenched in our different camps, and it does not help the human venture at all in growth and maturity.
No, so it's there's a memory that I have when I was in high school. This is 20. I'm gonna make myself sound real young right now for a lot of our viewers, but or old compared to who listens to this, but. That this is 2019, 2015 to 2019, those years, and I remember at some point in my junior or senior year, I told my friend, I was like, look, either we're going to go through like what we're getting into right now, like slowly but surely, is what we're going to face is either the only way to unify us is either if we have some sort of massive turning to religion for some reason or another, a natural disaster that we have to come together, or a full-blown war against some other country, not ourselves, to come together. I think that those are the only potential three ways that we can become unified again, is if we have to, out of necessity. But we've gotten to such prosperity that it is hard to agree, because we have redefined words so many times, like that repackaging, even just in the short little span of lifetime that I've lived, that people don't know those words. And so people, I have a hard time entering into conversations with some individuals because I am so gung-ho about what do you mean by when you say that word. oh, that's just semantics. You're just, no, but that's important right now. That's like critical today, is knowing, especially because I can tell that you probably have some different beliefs than I do. What do you mean by this word? Like institutional this, institutional that, or national, or religious, or Christian. What do you mean by these words? Because that will define what our conversation is actually about. Because we might be talking right past each other. There was also another question that popped into my head as you were talking about this and maybe this is kind of off the topic of what you were bringing in there, but it's interesting to me. You bring in how you growing up, you had stained glass murals. Well, I grew up in a bunch of non-denominational or Foursquare church. Where you only have sound dampeners on the wall in the main room, and the only picture that might be in this church is a little tiny picture in the hallway of the offices that is of the founding of the church. So at some point we decided, and I say we as in the side of the Reformation away from Catholicism, the Protestant side of things. At some point we've really moved away from art, because art does not just tell you what the thing is. Art is meditative. You have to stare and ask questions and not know what that thing is, or what that angel is, or what it's depicting in this certain circumstance from 1,500 years ago, or more, depicting the saints and all these things and monks and whatnot. And so it's at some point we got away from that to where the message, whatever the message is the whole point.
I'm reminded of a book. I forget the title. The author his name is Ken Wilson. I'll look it up and put it in the show notes. He writes about the Sistine Chapel in Rome, and he uses it as an illustration. I've been to the Sistine Chapel. I went there in 1990, I think it was, when I was still in high school, and it had not been renovated and restored and cleaned at that point. I forget when it was that they did it. I'm sure it was before you went there.
Yeah.
So you and I had two different experiences at the Sistine Chapel.
That's fun.
Which is kind of cool. And the point of this author was to say that after centuries of worship of God, all the candles and all the smoke and the soot forming on the painting, a massive mural dedicating worship had been covered over and darkened. And he noted the difference after the renovation, after the cleaning project. There was life and vitality and an entirely new message that was there. In fact, even a more positive message. So how I want to bring that into our conversation is what we're missing in today's society is communication. Someone pointed out to me recently, when I was in high school and earlier, you just didn't say certain things to certain people, because if you said something that was insulting, you would have the shit beaten out of you. Okay? But now, because we have social media, you can say whatever you want to say and not fear any type of reprisal and consequences. Now, I'm not advocating violence by any means,
right.
But what it has caused to happen is we don't listen to each other.
Yeah.
We just have our keyboard, and we're the warrior, and we're going to say what we want to say without any consequences.
No, we're encouraged to. We're not. We actually, our reward structure has become to say the most outrageous thing. That's how you get seen today.
That's how you get likes and views.
It's simply an algorithm, which is neither good nor bad. It's amoral, but it is there, and it is affecting us in an unhealthy way.
So the system itself is rigged against our ability to actually communicate, and it does that by saying you can communicate through this medium.
You should communicate.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
So we totally don't listen to each other. We're totally entrenched in our own camp of ideology. We think we're righteous, and we have our concept of justice, and it always comes down to violence. Now here's the crazy part. You probably know this. There are now a lot of theories going around about who actually assassinated Charlie Kirk. Was it the person that they found, or is he a plant? Was there a bush somewhere on the side of a building? Was there a microphone that was actually weaponized to fire at him?
I've seen that a breakdown that it came from actually behind into through, slowly but surely, that it like freeze framed through as it went and exited. Instead of an entrance through here, it was an entrance through there.
So that's very interesting, because I saw a video that has him wearing the lapel mic, sort of what you and I used in the previous episode, that actually exploded. It sent the bullet through his neck and out this side, which is why you see the explosion.
So many phones and cameras, and still we don't have a clue. It's like how...
And then you have these mysterious people in the crowd who seem to be holding devices, and then there's footage of people rushing towards Charlie Kirk and taking something and putting it in their pocket right away. So all these crazy theories, grasping at straws, grasping at explanations, and I'm not going to take a position on any one of them, because I know
it's not the topic of discussion.
I know what the media presents, and I know what people tend to believe. We don't communicate, and we are so inappropriately tied to the larger collective globally that I don't think there's really any way for critical thinking to happen in the person, any way of understanding, hey, these are actually my thoughts, as opposed to I'm going along with the mass, and I'm actually playing into a scapegoat system of a corporate mimetic desire. And then this conspiracy comes in, like, am I actually being controlled by some sort of secret society and all this stuff? And so it turns dark very quickly, and you get wrapped up in it because there's the dopamine and the endorphins that happen when you get agitated from watching something. You see someone behaving a certain way, and your sense of justice and righteousness gets in line, and you want to fight, and come against them. We've lost ourselves, and we've lost the ability to be silent and reflective, and to really have a genuine experience of wholeness.